Goose, what's up?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. We're here today, freshly goonsed up and ready to go. Talk about last night's show in Indianapolis. Interesting show.
Yes.
You know, there's some things that happened, some surprises set list wise, especially going into a weekend of festival performances.
Yep.
But overall, I feel like this fits with the Indianapolis, shows that they've played in the past. Fits the vibe.
A lot of surprises. We were expecting big things from this show, which I think we actually did get a couple of big things in this show. But we were expecting bigger things because you weren't in attendance. However, that is not the way that it worked out. Here we are. We are here to beat people over the heads with the idea of the goons, and until it gets so annoying that folks can't stand it. I don't know. It might already be at that point.
I think
there are some people who have checked out on the goons discussion completely. But it is what it is. We do what we do, and we can't apologize for who we are, right?
No, we can't. I mean, this is the kind of people that we are.
This is the kind of people we are.
Let's talk about the show. I mean, obviously, neither of us were there last night, but we heard from some friends who were there. Interesting crowd towards the beginning. I think kind of similar to St. Louis. There was a lot of chomping, and it was pretty crowded at some parts of the venue. But I think it got better as the show went on. But especially the first set, a little dicey again, I heard.
Yeah, what's interesting about this place is this is a venue that they've been playing since 2022. And there aren't many venues that Goose played in 2022 that they can still play today. They've kind of grown into this venue. I was there in 2022. It felt actually decently full. I mean, they must have packed the lawn last night. And I haven't gotten any reports from the lawn necessarily. Juzzle was there. And maybe we can ask him what he felt about it. But the venue itself is spectacular. It has a couple things going against it, which is it's like an open air venue in the middle of the city so that you get the earlier curfew. And then, of course, it is in Indianapolis, which I'm not knocking Indianapolis. Hold on. I'll get to the end.
Okay.
Indianapolis tends to be on the westernmost edge of the Eastern time zone, or it's pretty close to. Therefore, you get a really late sunset. So there is a lot of daylight show vibes at this place. And now after we have 3 runs through this venue, we kind of understand where it's at, And so that's what you get at the Everwise Amphitheater. Yeah, context.
Well, there we go. Well, let's dive in here. We get a nice full set of openers. Yes, every single one of these songs is an opener.
Is that true? Hold on.
It is.
I haven't looked at it with that in mind.
I was just looking at it to be like, oh, we got like a 4-pack or a 5-pack. Nope, we got a full set of openers.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean, not a ton to say about this first set. Rockdale, Hot Love, Turn Clouds, Draconian Meter Maid, Earthling or Alien, Give It Time, and Animal. I mean, the biggest kind of glaring things to call out here are the fact that they played Give It Time and Animal one show before 2 festival appearances in a row, which surprised me, that Animal would be such a Bonnaroo song. Figured Give It Time was too. Give It Time also conspicuously on the bench for 9 shows. This is the first one since Bend. So weird because, you would have expected them to play this. I mean, I didn't expect Fiddlers, but like St. Louis Night 1 maybe, and then bring it back again this weekend at one of the festivals. So interesting to see it on such a long gap, on the tour for this album where it is the lead single.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that all along. We've been expecting this to get the every third show treatment, and now we're starting to get a vibe that nothing gets the every third show treatment except for Dustin Hoffman. And and I was going to say that. I was going to say, except for Dustin Hoffman, How It Ends, and Your Direction, which all seem to be on a pretty tight rotation. And I don't know. It's weird to put the song on the bench for that long, but like maybe they just got sick of it for a minute. I don't know. They played it now 20 times. Last night was the 20th version, right? So I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to put it on the bench. But otherwise, in this set, not a lot to write home about. Probably the weakest Animal they've played in 2025. I don't know.
And just still extended funk, Earthling coming back for the first time since February. But good call in the chat, Andrew. Give It Time was not on the written set list. Thank you for reminding me to check. So planned first set was Rockdale, Hot Love, Turn Clouds, Meter Maid, Earthling, Born, Mr. Action, How It Ends.
My fantasy would have liked that better. Darn it.
I got a whole 9 points last night, so did great.
You're on fire right now.
Really
so
killing it.
other highlights that I'm just going to kind of pick out of the set, because I don't think we're going to run through each and every song here. Draconian Meter Maid was once again really nice. Had a nice, very blissy jam in it. One thing that actually stuck out to me in this jam, and maybe they do this in all of them, I don't know, is you get this like really nice major key vibe coming out of the bass. But Rick has some like really interesting counterpoint to that, and not following the same structure as what the bass is doing. So it creates a little bit of tension in there. And a bliss jam with tension is something I can get on board with.
And they get kind of a different progression in this one than we've heard in some of the other meter maids this tour. Some people, I forget what other people were saying. I heard a little bit of It Burns Within in it.
Yeah, you were saying that last night. Yeah, I didn't hear it, but I should go back and listen to it with that ear. But there was a lot of hinting in the show. There was hinting all over the place, and there has been last few shows really. Fewer segues, some more hints.
I mean,
you can only do so much of Eggy-esque things,
It's true. It's true. This show does have no segues, I guess, really. Like there are a few, fade outs, but not any segues to speak of that we've been seeing so much this tour. But yeah, otherwise in this first set, I mean, like this feels like a festival set. Like not really much to do here. Earthling is 17 minutes long. Just kind of sits in the funk for 17 minutes, which is nice. There's a lot of funk in last night's show.
Yeah.
In a few different forms, obviously. But yeah, interesting to see, kind of how they approached Earthling after not playing it for a little while.
Do you remember when Goose was like self-proclaimed to be a folk funk band? This is like 2019. It was like on their marketing materials. They called them
Indie Groove.
Way before Indie Groove. They were folk funk, which I don't think they ever were. But
Earthling or Alien is definitely a folk funk song. That's so folky.
Yeah. It's like a funny thing to call yourself. I don't know. I don't know why that popped into my mind. There's some old copy out there. I'll see if I can dig it up. There's maybe you'll remember this part, but there's something about like Goose is like, for the folks who are at a keg party in the woods who want to venture off into the darkness to find
Goose
more.
Can be likened to a keg party in the woods.
Yeah. It's part of that same era. They were the folk funk band. We should reach out to Greg for the exact copy because he may or may not have written that.
Get it framed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you to Garrett in the chat for saying Indie Groove.
Yes. Indie Groove with a Y. Yeah. So if you're listening, he spelled it with a Y. It's
yes.
Clever.
Very, very clever.
It's a play on words.
So you got anything else to add about this first set, or?
No, man. There's not much to say about this first set. I think the best word I can use to describe it is uninspired. Nobody was going out there to rip it up. I think they just cycled through a bunch of songs. And I don't know why it worked out that way necessarily, but I mean, that is on paper, essentially what you got.
That's on paper that that's kind of what you're going to get. I don't know. I feel like Rockdale, Hot Love, Turn Clouds is like, that's not going to, get anything really flowing musically with the band, I don't think. Unless, I mean, Rockdale can, obviously, but, they're opening it and they're playing like a, 9-minute Rockdale.
Yeah.
And then moving into Hot Love and Turn Clouds, that's not getting things going, to inspire some big jams. So yeah, I guess uninspired is the right word. And I hate, being outright negative about a set, but this is not a good set.
I mean, yeah, when I say uninspired, I don't see
it's laughing in the other room.
It's like bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like it lacked what I expect from the most incendiary of Goose sets, right? Which is just like surprises and being like, "Oh, I can't believe they did this." There was none of that in the first set last night. There was a lot of like, "Oh man, I can't believe they're doing that one right now," and that is what it is.
And also a good amount of, man, I do not have FOMO for this set. But anyway, let's talk about set 2 because there's actually a lot to talk about in this set.
There is.
4 songs, pretty solid. Pancakes in Your Eyes, How It Ends, and Tumble. I mean, 1-2 punch of Pancakes in Your Eyes here is fantastic. This is the first In Your Eyes since it was Minneapolis last fall, which is just 61 shows.
Excellent show.
Notable gap there. That the Minneapolis Drive and the Rockdale.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in that show, huh?
Yeah, that's
I
kind
haven't
of
thought about that one in a while. Yeah,
under the radar show.
Goose is a Midwest band,
except for Indianapolis.
Yes, except for that.
Yeah, they're not an Indiana band. They're a Midwest band in Ohio.
Store up on my nerves.
Some might say that Ohio is the Showhio of the Midwest.
It certainly isn't Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So
the pancakes, you get really similar kind of vibe to both of these jams here, the pancakes and the In Your Eyes, which is big funk jams, and they've been doing that a lot this tour. I think that's, a favorite move, I think maybe partially due to how Dustin Hoffman jam starts. That's like a new thing for them. And so I think they're exploring that space in other songs as well. And so you just get, really sustained burst of funk in both of these, and kind of, differently to how the Earthling jam went. I think these were both more engaging. You got a little more energy to them rather than just kind of hanging out in a groove. But I liked it. I like these jams a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you do get some extended jamming here. Pancakes will always win. It's an excellent song, and there isn't anything really crazy about this Pancakes, but it's good. And then, of course, In Your Eyes, when they play it, is just, I don't know, thrilling for me, at least. It's such a great song. Rick sings it so well, and it typically jams really well. I think in this case, it didn't really get to the places like some more notable versions have gotten to, but still quite good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, How It Ends, coming back. Love this as the second set landing pad. This is fantastic placement for this song. I think this is another one that, we're seeing that can kind of exist anywhere in the show.
Yeah. Same kind of deal here where it's just, I love it. I love anywhere they play it. Second set landing pad is a great place for this song. It's also a good opener, which is ironic. And it's also a great one to end the show with. I mean, I was going to break down in tears in Mexico when they ended with it, because it was this kind of this moment of the fairy tale has ended,
Yeah,
it's all over. But in this kind of landing pad spot, pretty sick. Better in the landing pad spot than say Spirit of the Dark Horse, which we were just making comments about the other day.
Yeah,
this is better than that. And I love what they did with it here. Again, this song gets more exciting and better to me every time I hear it. So I love that it's on a super tight rotation right now, because it's just a beautiful song.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I like that they're trying it out in different slots.
Yeah. Yep. And they're just going to keep moving around. I mean, they're going to keep playing it. I do like the unpredictability of that, because the first set was wholly predictable. So to have something that, wasn't necessarily predictable, because I think also Pancakes In Your Eyes was just oh yeah, I feel like I've maybe seen those two back to back before, but maybe I haven't. But it seems like a perfect fit, like the Pancakes set 2 opener, In Your Eyes, and then the How It Ends is kind of a little bit of a twist, because the tumble that follows also is in a pretty familiar spot.
Yeah, and I mean, I like let's talk about the tumble now. So that they started tumble, and looking at the clock, it's all right, this is going to be 15 minutes or so. Nice ripping jam to close the set. And then they just this is the best Goose jam we've got so far, I think.
Really?
I think this is better than the Fiddler's Psycho Killer for sure. Fiddler's Psycho Killer did not have the gas that this tumble has.
It has some gas.
It's wild what's going on in this jam. This is also you get 2 guitar Goose once Peter kind of lets loose on the arpeggiator. But man, really, again, Cotter being a Wook and a Disco Biscuits fan really helps this, because that
You're
guy
stealing my take.
I know. That guy knows how to build a drop, and the drop in this one, that Peter kind of spurs. He does that big woo kind of thing, and then they kind of settle into the build into the drop, and then we goons.
And I think that's the most notable part about this one. I've listened to this one 3 times. I have only given everything else a cursory re-listen, but just because I was I gotta hear that. The second I saw the Bandcamp notification, I was this is what I'm listening to.
And then you get to hear it again.
And yeah, listen to it twice on the way home too. And I'm very excited about this kind of thing. And you're right. This doesn't happen without Cotter and the band. And the secret sauce of Cotter, of course, is that he's a jam band fan. We joke and say that he's a Wook. He's kind of a Wook. The vests kind of make him very Wookish, and the coonskin cap, definitely a little Wookish. And then he also wears bracelets. In any case, very Wookiee kind of guy. And growing up in the scene, I think he knows what jam band fans want, because he is a really big jam band guy, and he's taken in a breadth of jam bands. And I think we all benefit from that. Of course, he's a huge Biscuits fan, as we know from other interviews that he's done. And of course, what Brownie has to say about him, which Brownie says he's B4L. But so you're right. I think he does know how to build this up, because he's played these songs in other bands before. Sorry, not these songs, Oonce-y songs. And now they're introducing this style to Goose. I think it fits like a glove. It's always been right there. I mean, it's been there since 2019 when they debuted Slow Ready. They've always been right on the edge of it, and they never really fully committed to it until now, just this year. Actually, it felt like the commitment happened at Goosemas a little bit, like when you got the Marball
creatures and the Marball. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also the way that Peter's rig has gone with like the Ableton thing that he has now to be able to do all the fun stuff with the different arpeggiators. I think that at least he wants to like kind of fuck around with that more in jams.
Well, so we've said this for a while. Peter is famous for finding an incredible synth sound, using it for a jam, and then discarding it and moving on to the new thing. So he's always searching and looking for something cool to do. And then he's just kind of stumbled across, weaving more arpeggiator into jams, and then like picking up the guitar. And so this is just like another thing in his arsenal that he can do. And the result is just, I don't know. I have a renewed excitement about this band, because they found another thing to do up there. And this is what we were saying when we did the Fiddler show and Brinkman was on. We demand this as jam band fans. We say, you absolutely have to reinvent yourself, or we're going to hate your guts after about 18 months of doing the same thing. And for a while there, I was like, I don't know, is Goose really going to be that kind of a band? And then here we are. We're kind of at this moment where something has happened, and it's notable. And if we're going to look back on 2025, we're going to say that, oh, this is the year they introduced the Goons.
It's the year of the Goons. And this is it.
It is comical that is sticking as a name, but I appreciate everybody who continues to use that name. I think it's annoying. It's certainly annoying to Disco Biscuits fans. I did see some Twitter discourse, or at least some skeets, not Twitter, sorry, Blue Sky, some skeets about how they're using Goons to refer to it now. And that part makes me smile.
It's good.
It's really,
it's
just getting fans of other bands all riled up about like silly little takes is great. But we needed a name for it, and that is the name. We're stuck with it for now until somebody can think of something better.
There's nothing better.
It absolutely works.
There is not anything better. But yeah, this tumble is fantastic. I will be listening to it a lot. It's not going to go on my Jam of the Year playlist, but it's going to be in heavy rotation for my listening, I think.
You might have to make a Goons playlist.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a Goons playlist made. Put that in the Nugs app.
Yeah, right at the top.
The Goons playlist.
Yeah, just opens with Marball and then kind of works its way through a couple of versions of Fast Slow, Psycho Killer, and then of course last night's Tumble.
Right,
and we'll just keep adding to it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so sick.
The Goons playlist.
Just wait. Amazing. I mean, it's gonna. I expect this to ramp up too.
It's gonna be so then we get an Arcadia encore, one of the shortest Arcadias they've ever played, clocking in at a whopping 7 minutes and 1 second.
Wow.
The only two shorter versions were Beale Street in 2022 Music Festival and Beanstalk Music Festival in 2019, which were both around 7 to 9 seconds shorter.
No kidding.
And the Beanstalk one was so short because it segued into Hot Tea very quickly. So the Beale Street is the only I'm not going to say proper Arcadia because this is not a proper Arcadia, but the only completed version of the song that's shorter than last night's. I get you want to end the show on a high note, but like if you only have this much time, like I'm okay with you putting Love Light again after not that many shows.
Wait a second here. You're complaining about an Arcadia?
I'm complaining about a 7-minute Arcadia that didn't really have time to even it didn't feel like it had time to build to its proper energy of the peak even.
Really? I mean,
from my perspective,
considered to be like the, for the longest time, like the Arcadia that you have to listen to is, of course, Peach. And that's 9 minutes and change, if I'm not mistaken. If you got the numbers up there right now, can you give us the numbers?
That is around 9 minutes. But the difference is that one, they weren't up against curfew and they played it 9 minutes by design because they wanted to. So it still builds to a peak perfectly. Last night's like they have to rush through the jam and get to the peak without having the time to build it. So like, yeah, a 9 minute Arcadia is shorter, but like still Rick is able to do what he wants in that 9 minutes.
Man, I can't believe you brought up Beale Street. I'm like having like flashbacks now. It's like,
terrible.
That show is quite bad. Although Beanstalk, on the other hand, Beanstalk is fantastic. Those shows, I listened to the hell out of them when they came out on YouTube in 2019. I was like, if they ever do this again, I'm going next year. And of course, COVID happened and all of that sad stuff. But man, Beanstalk looks like an amazing festival. I think it still goes on. Magic Beans, of course, it's their festival on the side of a river in Colorado. It's just really gorgeous thing. But in any case, they played like 6 sets at that show or something crazy like that because they were playing in between every single band. I think they were doing
like
that
4.
There. Yeah. In any case, neat version.
So back to
not a great one. Yes, back to last night.
Back to last night. Just want to call attention to the written set list also for set 2. It's supposed to be Pancakes Tumble in Your Eyes, Redbird Pancakes, SOS, and then Arcadia with Doobie in brackets for the encore, which I think means they were going to do an Arcadia Doobie song sandwich.
No, I think that's an either or. That's
usually the brackets. No, but usually the brackets were reprising. Like it says Redbird brackets cakes because the ending. So it's usually when they're sandwiching something, they do that. And I want to know the thought process behind putting a Doobie song in the middle of an Arcadia, especially when at this venue you're not going to have a lot of time for the encore.
Yeah. Who the heck knows? I mean, maybe they thought they'd have more time. I think sometimes maybe they're just kind of maybe
we did hear allegedly listen to the music was sound checked yesterday, so maybe it's Doobie Brothers, not Doobie song. If they play listen to the music at Bonnaroo tonight and when I'm not there, I'm gonna be very sad.
You know what's really funny about the Doobies is that I did the run at Mexico at Cabo. And of course, Peter was there. And that is, out of all the things that I chose to talk with Peter about, it was the Doobie Brothers and Michael McDonald. I have no idea why. Well, no, because they had played, what do you call it, the night before, the Christopher Cross
Ride
song,
Like the Wind. Yeah.
Ride Like the Wind. And I was like, oh, man, Cotter doing those Michael McDonald parts was so sick. We are huge Michael McDonald fans. For those that don't know, the best after show listening is the 1985 Doobie Brothers reunion concert.
82.
What is it? What did I say?
Farewell show. You said 85 reunion concert.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
fake fan.
I am the fakest Doobie Brothers fan ever. There's no doubt about that. Such a poser, but throw it on after show. It's wonderful.
Videos on Nugs. It's great.
I was never a Doobies guy growing up. The Doobies were like happening while I was alive. They were a very popular band and was not into it. But now, oh boy. And now Goose has caught on and they are going to play some Doobies. I hope.
Let's see.
I hope they play it.
I hope they do too. And I hope it's not tonight. They are playing at Bonnaroo tonight. And I'm curious, Give It Time and Animal off the table. What are we doing? Yeah, this would minute by minute into your direction. That would be something.
So just to bring up a point that friend of the pod, Captain Incredible, had made, there is no guarantee they're not going to zero show gap both of those songs tonight.
Well, they can't because
why?
I mean, unless they play them twice in the same set.
No, so zero show gap for those of us who know how to do math. Those of us who know how to do math would be they played it last night. 0 shows have been played between last night and Bonnaroo tonight.
What is the difference What is the difference? How many days has it been since yesterday?
So as I said, they can play it tonight.
Days?
They can play it tonight.
How do we always get back into this?
I just don't understand how you feel like you have ground to stand on. You just walked right into it. There 0 shows have been played between last night.
How many days has it been since yesterday, Neil? Has it been 0 days since yesterday?
0 days have elapsed since yesterday and today. That is true. Yesterday was in fact Thursday. Today is in fact Friday.
It has been
There's not a weird day in
yesterday.
between. Yeah. In any case,
he should have finished school.
Thank you, Grady.
Yeah.
Grady just finished school. We celebrated Grady finishing school. So props to Grady. Grady knows how to do simple arithmetic. So, all right, here we go. So, it's absolutely amazing. You've got full effects tonight. It's very good. You've got the A-rig tonight for today.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's hope they play the Doobies tonight. I wouldn't be mad if they played same show 2 shows in a row, or same songs 2 shows in a row. If it's give it time, maybe they do it, maybe they don't. Although if you do look at the songs that are available to be played right now, it seems pretty obvious what they were planning to do, which of course means I'm going to be certainly completely wrong about all of the stuff that they're going to play. But I'm excited about Bonnaroo. I feel like last time Bonnaroo was pretty good.
It was good, late night set. I think they're on a bigger stage this time, maybe.
Epic Arrow last time, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
No, that was Peach Fest in 2022.
But what was there was a banger from last time they played Bonnaroo, and I just can't remember what it was.
It was just a solid late night festival set. Peach had the 28-minute Arrow. So we got 2 festival performances this weekend, neither of which are being streamed live. But Bonnaroo will be live. Bonnaroo will be streamed on Hulu tonight at 12:10 Eastern time, just after midnight. If you want to watch, it's on Hulu. It's basically the set ends at midnight Eastern, and then they're airing it immediately after. So you can tune in. I think it's an hour and a half. And then Sunday at All Good Now, they've got 2 sets. So, more in their wheelhouse in terms of festival performances. They're headlining a jam band festival. They have 2 sets. So expecting more excitement out of that one for sure. And I'm excited for the festival. I'm going to be there the next 2 days. So we will be back on Monday. We will be joined by the illustrious young Isaac, who will be at the show on Sunday. So we're going to talk about both of these festival performances. It's going to be great.
Great. So some questions. Have you heard any rumors about a Mixler for tonight? Probably not, right? Because the signal is traditionally very weak there.
Yeah.
And there's a stream that will be, I guess, streamed later. And then what else was I going to say? Still no confirmation, actually, on the fact that they're going to play this whole set at 12:10. I have seen this kind of thing done before with festival sets, and then you don't get the whole thing. They just kind of like segue into like another stage, and then they go to another stage, and they come to this one.
It says Goose at 12:10 a.m. Eastern, and then Megadeth at 1:45 a.m. Eastern. That seems to imply that
they're going to play the whole thing.
Yeah. All Good is not streaming anywhere official.
That was the other question I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. But listen, tonight you can check out Goose and then Megadeth. 2 a.m. Megadeth set.
Dude, if you're into the 80s metal kind of thing,
the vibe.
Megadeth is pretty dope. Maybe we move on from the Goons to the Megadeth. Like Megadeth covers. Rick can play it. I mean,
Goose Death.
Yeah, a lot of shredding.
All right. Well, that's nonsense. That is complete and utter nonsense. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. If you are at Bonnaroo right now and watching this, why? But if you are, enjoy the show tonight. And hope to see people out there at All Good Now this weekend. Gonna be doing some festival Storm Tracker. I've got Slaps. I'm excited. See some other bands on this tour, and then see Goose.
There's a lot of bands to watch coming up. Eggy is going to be at All Good Now.
Eggy, Neil Francis,
Yeah.
J-Rad, Cheese, Mo, Dogs, Donato.
I would watch all of those bands.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Well, it's going to be fun. So I'll see everybody out there, and we will see you on Monday afternoon to recap both of those festival performances. Have yourselves a fantastic day and weekend. Enjoy your Friday, and we will see you next time. Peace.